Hey, thanks for checking out my video. This is going to be my endgame guide for Frost Blades Trickster for 323 Affliction League. I'm going to cover how to min-max the build kind of as quickly as I can and how to solve the biggest problems the build has. The build feels better than ever this league, even with Heat Shiver nerfs. The damage is still great, and we have new defensive layers that we never had before because of charms. I leveled my character to level 100 very easily, just doing Alk and Go content, and I died very, very rarely. But if you want to do more than Alk and Go content, I'll show you a clip from my stream here where I've been doing juiced abyss farming, and this is just kind of a cool little part of this map where I'll show you what happened here. And this is with Headhunter, okay, and I had Soul Eater at this particular moment, but I just want to showcase that the build can do this kind of juiced, like completely end game content here. This is full Scarabs with Delirium, Beyond, Winged Abyss, and full juice. And in this clip right here, I dropped like 30 Gilded and Winged Scarabs, and then I dropped 2 Divines in a row, and then I dropped like 2 more Divines from the rest of all these rares. And these Stygian Spires here, they shoot out like a crap load of rares all at once, and you can complete these maps with Headhunter. Without Headhunter, this is extremely difficult, and I wouldn't recommend it. But if you do put Headhunter on the build, it can do this type of content. I think it can do pretty much every content in the game. And Alk and Go mapping is an absolute breeze. Absolute breeze. And here's a boss showcase I'll show you. I'll show you a clip from Uber Eater here. This was the end of my first attempt ever this league at Uber Eater. I haven't done any Uber bossing. But you can see this is level 85 Uber, and I did die once during the ball phase or whatever because I'm just not very good at it. But then I came back in after my first portal, and you can see here's the end of the fight. He melts down just in a couple seconds, and I got the challenge complete. That was my first kill this league. And then I'll show you another clip here from Uber Maven, which I also did the first try. This is a whole entire fight here. I'm not going to play the whole video, but there's Uber Maven. And I went in, and I died once on this fight too, just at the very, very end. But you can see I went through the first couple phases, no problem. And then watch when she comes out of this phase here. You can see the damage after this memory game. Here's the damage after this phase. Look at that, bam! She just gets instantly deleted. So the damage, and you can see there, that's 85 Uber Maven. The damage is still more than enough to do Ubers. And then I did die once here during the laser beam phase because I'm bad. But then I came back in after one death and took her down, no problem. Hello, video? There it goes. And she went down real easy. So there you go. The build is uber viable, no problem. So now I'm going to go into the build and talk about all the problems the build has and how you should solve them the most effectively to min-max the build, okay? And this basically, the most important thing about this is getting perfect suffixes on all your gear, because all the problems on the build are suffixes. Attributes, resist, suppression, and accuracy all have to be solved on the suffixes. And with the uniques that we use, there's not very many of them to go around, so you have to have them min-maxed. Your prefixes are mostly just life and damage. So to get into what I would consider a mid-max state, you need to be like level 97 plus, preferably just level 100, because you need all those points. Okay, first thing, accuracy. Accuracy is the foundation of the build, because how you accuracy cap affects your passive tree, what gems you use, your auras, mainly the level of your precision, and how your mana reservation works. So capping efficiently and properly is very, very important. If you accuracy cap inefficiently, you're going to waste passive points, you're going to waste gear suffixes, or both, and you're just going to be gimping your power. All you need to do to accuracy cap is get a tier 1 accuracy roll on gloves, like 580 plus, like this right here. You need to take the attack speed accuracy wheel on the tree and get the close range mastery, and then you need level 1 precision, and then you need to get blind somewhere. You can get that from an abyss jewel. That which was taken can also roll it, which is where I have it, or you can get it on a veiled claw mod. You need to have blind though; it will help you accuracy cap. Or if you don't want to rely on blind, then you're going to have to level your precision up to about level 8 or 10, and then you won't need blind at all either. And that's it. That's all you need to do to accuracy cap. For the auras, here's the 4 you use. The level of your precision will depend on how you accuracy and crit cap, but you can cap both at level 1. To fit the auras in, you need one of these things. A 90% heat shiver corruption, which is the best thing to get, because it has no, you're not sacrificing anything to get this, really. And enlighten is the second best option. This just requires you to sacrifice a gem. A 12% reservation charm, which I don't really recommend because you can get it for free on the heat shiver, basically. Or if you can't get any of those things, then you need the mana reservation mastery, which costs 4 points on the tree. If you want to level your precision up beyond level 1, you'll need 2 of these things. So you'll get the heat shiver corruption and an enlighten, say, and then you'll be able to level your precision up. But if you just use blind, then you only need one of these things, and the best one to get is the heat shiver corruption. All right, suppression. You will be capped on suppression if you get 38 on gear. That's all you need. You get 62 from the tree, from all this stuff right here. So the best way to do this is to just get 19 and 19 on your chest and shield. If you get both of those things, or at least you get 38 between the two, then you'll be capped. You don't need the lucky mastery. You don't need the full life node. You'll be capped. That's it. For resists, you need to have tier 1 rolls everywhere, and all you need is one of each. You need 1 fire, 1 cold, and 1 lightning, and you will be resist capped, like I have it here. These are my resists right here. I have 1 of each, and my resists are perfectly balanced pretty much. And then you also do need this point on the passive tree, but this point right here is too good. You're never not going to take this anyway. And that's it. If you do not have tier 1 rolls, you will either not be resist capped, or you'll have to waste additional suffixes to resist cap, which is not good. Chaos resist. You need 135 chaos resist, and you have to devote 4 suffixes to this, and 3 of them must be tier 1. So for example, you need 35 and 35 and 35, and then you can still cap with 1 tier 2 roll if it's divined up to 30 to get to 135. If you don't have well-divined tier 1 rolls, you're going to have to get more chaos resist from somewhere else. Like I'm actually using a medium cluster jewel that has +3 on it that just barely helps me cap, because you can see I have 34, 34, and 29. And that extra 3 there helps me cap. But if you don't have tier 1 rolls, you're not going to be able to chaos resist cap, or you're going to have to waste another suffix on it, which is bad. Attributes. After a lethal pride, you're going to need about 30 strength and int from somewhere on your gear, depending on what lethal pride you get. Some lethal pride seeds have 20 strength on them, which helps a lot. The best place to get attributes, in my opinion, is from a large cluster jewel. That will solve your strength and your int right away, and then you don't have to worry about it at all. But you can also get it from a crit, strength and int crit craft on your claw, or you can get it from an unveil, a strength and int unveiled suffix somewhere, like maybe on chest or boots. But I think cluster jewel is just the best place to get it. Don't get strength and int on 2 different suffixes, because if you do, you're going to lose damage. Okay, get it all on one place somewhere. To crit cap, this is all you need. You need brittle on boots, roll it up to high so it stays on the ground for a long time, just for QOL. You need Assassin's Mark, Nightblade, 4 power charges. You need at least 1 charm prefix with that's crit chance versus shocked enemies. And then Bottled Faith, which I recommend now, helps crit cap a lot. You get about 250% from the tree, and then precision. And that's it. You will be crit capped with all this stuff. If you get your crit chance high enough, you can skip base crit on the claw, and you can change it to crit multi or double damage. I like double damage while focused. I think it's nice having that just extremely strong burst window. If you get it on the shield too, and you have a nice lethal pride, you'll have over 50% double damage while you're focused, which just lets you chunk the shit out of bosses. If your crit is lower, just put crit chance on your claw, and you'll be crit capped, no problem. Okay, let's go through the gear real quick. On the claw, your prefixes need to be increased fizz and flat cold, and then either flat fizz or penetration, one of the 2. And then your suffixes are going to be crit multi, double damage, and crit chance if you need it, instead of one of those other 2. But if you're crit capped, then you go with speed, multi, and double damage. And that's it for the claw. The claw is very easy to craft with hatred essences. If you hit increased fizz, then unveil penetration. If you hit flat fizz, then unveil increased fizz, and hope that you get blind on it too. And that's it. And then Start with a fractured attack speed roll, and then once you have the prefixes, you do a crit reforge on the harvest bench, and then you craft on the last mod and you're done. It's very easy. Chest, hatred effect and crit multi implicits with 19 suppression. Use envy essences to craft these until you hit a tier 1 resist, and then your suffixes are done, and then you just Eldritch Exalt Slam the prefixes until you have 2.5k evasion. So you need like tier 3, or tier 3, tier 2 evasion prefixes. And then craft on Fizz Taken Ass for your last mod. This is what you want. For gloves, you need +1 strike, +2 pierce. You need tier 1 chaos resist, attack speed, and high tier 1 accuracy. And then your prefixes, you just want damage, life. There's a lot of different damage mods that are good, but just get the best you can. Just get the best ones you can get. Damage during flask effect, I think, is actually the best craft here. If you can get life as one of your prefixes, I just settled with these because I was tired of crafting them, but they're not best in slot or anything. You could make them better. Anyway, you start. The best way to craft these is actually with an accuracy fracture, and then you use zeal essences until you hit tier 1 chaos resist. But you can also go with fractured chaos resist and then zeal essence for accuracy, either one. But I used like 500 essences and I got unlucky and didn't hit the chaos res, so I just settled with this. But those are the gloves. Boots, 4-second brittle, tier 1 chaos resist, 2 tier 1 elemental resist. This is very important if you want a res cap. And then life and movement speed for the prefixes. That's it. Very easy. For ring, damage, attack speed, tier 1 or tier 2 chaos resist, and then life or more damage. That's what you want. Damage. Tons of damage comes from this ring slot. Shield, you want life and cold as extra for your prefix, and then if you can get a third prefix, that's any prefix is good. And then your suffixes should be attack speed, 19 suppression, and double damage. That is the shield you want. You use these uniques. Darkness Enthroned is the best damage belt there is. This is another reason why it's so important to have your resists so finely tuned, because you don't get any from the belt slot. This is what enables you to use Darkness Enthroned. Yoke of Suffering with Hatred effect is the best corruption to get on it. Taming is just too good of a ring not to use. It gives you 40 all res and tons of damage, so it's just an insane ring. And then Heat Shiver with the corruption. Another thing about Darkness Enthroned that makes it so good is you can freely swap in Headhunter for mapping, because you don't have to rely on resists or attributes or anything else from your belt. Darkness Enthroned is the way to go. Here's some jewels you should use with your Darkness Enthroned. You want to look for cold damage, crit multi, and attack speed if crit recently. Those are the 3 best damage mods. And then life if you want it. You don't have to put life on it, but all the life is going to get doubled basically. So if you get 2 like 30 life jewels, that's going to turn into 60 life, which is going to be 120 life from the Darkness Enthroned, which is not bad. So look for jewels like that. Cluster Jewel, you want 3% speed, 3% damage, and 35 effect. And then either attributes, resist, or chaos resist, I think are the best, like the only 3 really that I would settle for. And then whatever you don't get here, you have to fix it with a suffix somewhere else. For example, if you get cold resist on this, then you're going to need to get strength and int on your gear on a suffix somewhere. If you get attributes, then you're going to have to get resist on a suffix somewhere. So just whatever you get on the cluster jewel, you can get instead on a suffix whatever you don't get. The cluster jewel like this is insanely powerful. For medium clusters, Ancestral Guidance is the strongest notable, like almost in the whole game for this build. You get 8% damage from it. I got a Corrupted Blood immunity implicit on my cluster jewel. I rolled like 30 of them and then I volled them all and got lucky. The small node you can use to gain a little bit more resist if you need to cap, but you only get 1 node, so you have to be very tight there. And then second notable options, Ancestral Echo is the best one for damage, or Sleepless Sentries is another one that you can get onslaught from if you don't use a Silver Flask. For jewels, Flat Cold Hatred Watcher's Eye is the best damage mod. Grace Evade is also very strong to have with it, and then if you can get a third damage mod, that's just a cherry on top. Any of them would be good. Opportunistic is the only Forbidden Flame and Flesh jewel that I recommend. It's the most damage by far, and the rest of them aren't really worth using. Just use rare jewels instead. Lethal Pride, use POB to find the best one. There's tons of videos that can show you how to do that. Check out Spraz's channel if you guys want to find a video on how to find the best Lethal Pride. The 10755 is the best seed one there is. For that which was taken, you want to look for Pen and Crit Multi Crit Chance. Those are the best damage mods. And then either Blind, Culling Strike, Covered in Ash is actually pretty good. Mark Effect, Onslaught Effect, all these mods are good. Just get the best one you can find. These are kind of expensive right now though. And then for your rare jewel sockets, crit multi, attack speed, and then damage, look for a jewel that gives you about 7% damage. Is a really solid jewel. For flasks, Bottle Faith is the best flask to help you crit cap. Get a life flask with bleed on it, and then Taste of Hate, Stibnite flask, Silver flask. Those are the best flask combo I think there is. And then get these suffixes here, except for crit chance. Get evasion and attack speed. Once you switch to Bottled Faith, you can drop the crit suffix because you won't need it anymore. And then for the prefixes, just get whichever prefixes you can get. I don't think you need to spend huge money on any certain prefixes. Just don't get gain charges when hit, because this is an evasion build. You should have 94 or 95% evade on this build. You don't want to be getting hit, so don't get that one. And then also don't get reduced effect. Any prefixes but these two I think are fine. For charms, you want 3 suffixes on the charms that are not really flexible. I think these are mandatory, these 3 suffixes. Fortify on hit, cannot be stunned while fortified, and take no damage from crits while elusive. These defensive layers make the build feel so good. It is unbelievable how smooth the build feels now because of these defenses that we get. And then for the prefixes on the charms, just get whatever you can get really, but crit chance and multi I think is really good to help you crit cap. And then 6% penetration is really good. And then if you can't find those, just get whatever best prefixes you can find. For the skill gems, here's all the mandatory ones here and here. The gem setups, I'm not really going to talk about all of them. They're self-explanatory. These are optional ones here though. Faster attacks on whirling blades, steel skin, cast on damage taken. Culling strike is not optional, but using the gem versus the jewel is the option. And then frost bomb for exposure it's 3% damage, but you don't have to use it. And then enlighten to level up precision if you want to do that. These gems are all kind of optional depending on exactly how you want to tune your build. So yeah, there you go. For the budget, I've spent probably closer to 150 divines on my build. It's hard to say exactly how much I've spent because I crafted all my own gear and I didn't like keep track or anything, but this is just kind of a rough estimate. Probably 140, 150 divines, somewhere in there. And probably 50 divines of that is my Watcher's Eye, which is a triple mod Watcher's Eye, and Awakened Multi-Strike. Take away those 2 things and you're left with probably less than 100 divines. And the build's going to feel, that's not that much more damage, those 2 things. Without those 2 things, the build's still going to feel almost just as good. So yeah, that's about it for the budget. If you want to push the build to even more damage, to like mirror tier damage, because I don't think this is not mirror tier my gear, 7-link claw and squire is probably the way to do that. But I don't know if I can be bothered to do that this league. Maybe, we'll see. I'm going to make a follow-up video soon with facts about mistakes and common questions that I hear all the time about the build, so stay tuned for that. And check out the rest of my YouTube channel for guides on how to craft gloves, chest piece, claw, cluster jewel, and other stuff. And I think that's about it. That's how you set up the build. Min-max your suffixes, and don't settle for low-tier mods, and level up your character to a very high level. And you should be feeling pretty good. Check out my channel for other resources. And check out my streams on twitch.tv/dishpoe and right here on YouTube for now. And yeah, that's it. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. And good luck in the league. Hope you're having as much fun as I am. And see you next time.